Hi there, my name is Kendrick, and welcome to another ENFP male interview. Today I get to interview Ahmed. So welcome, man.
Nice to meet you, man. What's up?
For sure, dude. Can you give us your full type, Ahmed?
I'm INFJ, MF, NITI, sleep, consume, play blast.
All right. So what did you think and how did you feel when you got your results back?
Well, to be fair, before I got it, it was like, I have this thing where either I feel like anxious and nervous before, or I feel it like at the time, you know what I mean? And in this case, I was nervous before. I was like, I don't know, it felt like when people get the exam results, you know what I mean? Like there's like an expectation to it. But when I got it, there was just a sense of finality, you know, like that is the type of thing. And yeah, but it was good because I kind of expected a lot of them. There's only like two things that kind of surprised me, but the rest was good.
Which part surprised you?
That I'm TI rather than I thought I was. Well, to be fair, the maths said TI, but I was like, nah, I'm FI. I don't know, because of two things that didn't make sense. So I was like, okay, I guess I'm FI. And then I thought I was blast over consume. That's the other thing.
Okay. I mean, since we started talking, I can already tell you were a blast last. So
Yeah. Like again with that, the maths makes sense, but it's just I don't know. It's just this little thing of I don't like I, this little thing of I do tiny bit of blast, so I'm blast. I don't know, or I don't know. Since I'm TI, I see maybe a tiny fraction like of FI. I'm like, yeah, that's me.
right. I guess so. That like I've seen people do that. So okay.
Yeah.
Well, let's go over your parts then. Let's start with the NI. If you had FI, I guess you thought you were an INTJ at first. Like that's what I'm gonna guess.
Yeah, I feel like because like MBTI wise, I don't really have a type that perfectly describes me, you know. And the thing is with INTJ is that people say they come across as ESTP type of thing, and since I'm a glass lizard INFJ, that kind of resonated. If you get what I'm trying to say.
Right. So you have feminine NI. How do you experience that feminine NI?
Do you know, like for example, do you know how people with masculine NI describe their NI as like, you know, the Sherlock Holmes mind palace and stuff? I don't have that. So like it's just I'm trying not to say what everyone says, you know what I mean? But like it's just doesn't exist type of, I don't know, like it's not in this world, it's not in this reality, it's just inside, but even though it's inside, it's still inside something else, so it's kind of hard to access it, if you know what I mean.
Right. It's also feminine too, so you're gonna forget a lot of like the concepts and patterns
Yeah.
you've gathered. So or organized. Because you're savior NI though, you're still obsessed with organizing. So talk about your obsession with like organizing known information.
Yeah, but it's connected with the TI, so it's more about figuring something out. So like coming from you don't know anything to you know everything, and you put everything like in its own place, you know what I mean? But then you forget, like you said, with the feminine NI, so you do it again, and there's like a sense of like ease, you know, like sense of it's known information, so it's like there's nothing to surprise you, you know, it's not difficult, you just do it again and again type of thing.
Since you talked about NT, your NT is in the sleep position. How do you figure things out? Like it's because like I'm also a lead NT like you, but my NTs play, right? So for me, I like to solve problems or issues with people or for people, right? Like I have another online business that I run for that is travel related, and oftentimes solving the puzzle of like how I'm gonna get someone from one country to the next, and building
Right.
the itinerary. So because it's in a play position. So for you, it's sleep. So I'm just wondering, how do you solve a puzzle, or how do you figure things out, internally? Like what is the purpose of it? Like, what are you doing?
I think it's like it's coming to an understanding of something, but but it's like I feel like the sleep part is like it's unconscious. Like I don't really have control over it type of thing. I remember like 2 years ago, I was telling one of my friends, and I said to him, "Do you know something I do? Something's really cool. I have this thing in the back of my mind where if I don't know something, I make a note of it, and then I just carry on with my life, and then sometime in the future I'll just have it figured out." Like, and he was just like, "What? You're weird." What do you mean? Like, it didn't make sense to him, but it's essentially unconscious. I'm just like, it's more so I'm conscious of the consume, but I'm not really conscious of the sleep, if that makes sense.
Right. Yeah, you have a unconscious competence when it comes to it. I don't know if you've heard of that terminology, but like you're good at it, but you don't know how or why.
Yeah.
Automatic.
Yeah.
Yeah, fair enough. That makes sense. That's like with my play. It's like automatic. I'm like, yeah, I just kind
But
of
it
know.
feels TE though, in a sense. That's why I thought I was FITE as well, because but if there's like a topic I'm trying to understand, I will go to different people who are like at their best, if that makes sense.
Okay.
And I would kind of vet them, like try to figure out if does this person know what they're talking about, and like consume them, but then also go to the opposite side and consume them, basically triangulating the logic. And I
Right.
thought that was TE, but it wasn't.
Maybe you're gathering the facts and whatnot from other people.
Yeah. I was confusing SC with TE. Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. Let's go over your functions within that sleep. It's TI. That's your second savior. It's masculine TI. You said you didn't know you had TI before. You thought you had FI. But now that you have TI and you've gotten some chance to think about it, how do you see yourself using it? Because it's your identity, right? So how do you see your identity?
How do I see TI? I think it's just like, it's like things need to make sense, and you need to have reasons why you're doing something, if that makes sense. So it's like, I don't know how to explain it. But yeah. I don't know if that was.
Yeah, it's all right. Have you spoken to Joyce? Because you guys are similar types. Except she's double feminine.
I haven't spoken to her, but I've seen her channel, and I've watched a lot, right? Yeah.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So I mean, I'm not sure if you're aware, but you guys are the same, almost the same. So she's double feminine.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
She said that even though she's a DI and even though she has masculine TI, she still feels like not as confident as someone else. As that's how she described it, because she said that the order stack still matters, and because TI is third in the function stack,
I see.
Yeah, the confidence level for herself is not as high as someone else that has a TI first or second, like a ISTP or INTP. Do you relate?
Yeah.
Do you relate with that?
You've jogged my memory. Okay, I see what you mean. That's actually true. Like before I came to OP, like I thought I was an INTP or an ISTP, but I had this thing of I'm not that smart type of thing.
Yeah.
And I'll be honest with you, I think it's the consumer of the blast as well, not necessarily just TI, but it's the fact that you never feel you know something enough. So for example, even though let's say there's a topic that I know 100% and probably in the whole world no one knows it better than me, to me I feel like I just started. Like this is thing of you'll never feel you know enough. And then when that comes with the TI, it's the fact that you feel like someone else could be doing it better, like it's like kind of like, even though it's masculine, there's a certain insecurity with it. Although on the flip side, there's certain arrogance of it, because you've consumed so much of certain thing that you feel, okay, I know it, but you'll never put yourself out there to compete with others, if that makes sense. I don't know.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. Yeah, the arrogance thing is the one that's interesting, because when you try to teach it, you actually don't know how to explain it as well as you think you do. Because when you blast something, that's the real test of how well you know something. And if you can't blast something that you consume, it's like Ah,
Yeah,
shit.
that's true. That's very
You
true.
know, so it's one of those like it's interesting because it makes you really smart, but at the same time, you're only
It's
smart
not
at
smart in
like
your head.
yeah, it's
Smart in
smart in
your
the
head.
head. Yeah, just
Yeah,
just one, yeah, just one side of the spectrum. Yeah, like you're not
yeah.
complete. Yeah.
It's that saying of do you know like when someone makes a bad joke and they're like, it sounded better in my head. It's that thing about with intelligence. You're like you try it out in the real world. You're like, I guess I'm not as smart. In my head, I'm discovering how to go to Mars and back. But in the real world, I don't know. You're just yeah.
Well, it's a weird paradox because then you could have someone that's like a lead blast with consume last, and they come across smarter than someone that is blast last just because they are well spoken. But
Mm.
I think if you really prod deep enough and hit it from different angles, you would find that their information is it's being held up by a piece of toothpick. Essentially, it's not like solid. Like there's not a solid foundation. So
Yeah, but that could be the same with my type as well. Because I tend to like when I'm learning something, I see that there's two ways of learning it. There's the work hard till you know it 100%, and then there's the learn 50%, and then and I blast it because even though blast last, like there's like an innate thing with NI that's consumed last. Like maybe someone says one thing and you're like, oh, I know, shut the fuck up, stop.
right.
I understand what you're trying to say, and that happens with me with my mom a lot, and she thinks she thinks I'm like I'm shutting it down or pushing her away, but it's like I actually do like I do understand what you're trying to say. And she tried to it actually happened a week ago. She made me prove it, like she walked in and said one word and I was like, my brain already, like, I think she said it before, I don't know, but my brain was like, I know exactly what you're gonna say. So I was like, Mom, I know what you're gonna say, I'll do it. And then she feels like, what? How can you possibly know? I didn't even say anything. I was like, and then I was laughing, she was getting really angry. I was like, okay. And then I was like, I need to stop laughing and actually prove it, so I proved it and she just smiled and walked away. It's funny.
Got it. Since you're talking about consume now, let's talk about consume then. Your type is weird in a way that like it's like you're double activated consume. But INFJs in general tend to consume less. So, it's gonna be something, it's gonna be interesting because from what I've seen when I watch a David Shan typing video of celebrities, anyone that's using their third and fourth function together all the time gets in a state of stress, like a permanent stressed out state. So even if you're using something in a savior state, you're still stressed out because of the order of the function. TI and ST, like the third and fourth. So when you're consuming, do you feel stressed out? Is there like does your state change, would you say? Or like do you feel like, maybe not feel, but like it's still challenging for you to consume even though you have consumed saviors, what I'm trying to say?
Maybe like when I'm consuming, I'm too invested, I'm too intensely absorbing it, maybe. And for example, when I was younger, I would binge watch like shows, and I would wake up, binge, go to sleep, wake up, binge, and just that cycle of just like, yeah, it could be very intense. Like, do you know, like when people talk about swings, you would swing to the consume and that's it. You're doing nothing else but consume, if that makes sense. So it is very intense.
Yeah, my
I don't know
girlfriend,
if that's what
kind of, but like, so my girlfriend is an INTJ, but same animal as you, sleep, consume, play, blast. And she's consuming all day, but when she's consuming, I look on her face is stressed out. She's like, you know, so she's like super stressed out, because like she's using her third and fourth function essentially, even though it's in the savior state. That's why I was wondering about you. It's like, do you?
Oh no, I don't think so.
Okay. Okay, so it's a little bit different because her consumes SF, so yours ST, so you're consuming facts essentially.
Yeah.
Talk about
Yeah.
consuming facts, like how. Like what's going on there with the ST consume? Like do you like to consume like statistics, numbers,
Oh
detail?
no,
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 no.
no. I like to consume entertainment, you know.
Weird.
But
That's weird.
I actually, okay, now I understand what you mean. Okay, if I was consuming, okay, so let's say if I was learning something new and it was all just facts and statistics. No, but I'll get bored. I'll just turn it off. I would, Andrew Huberman. He
Uh,
talks about this thing. He talks about this thing about when you're learning something new, you have this low agitation, low anxiety. Um, Maybe because we have the same functions, but like I relate with that. And like you're saying that, yeah. So essentially, for example, where when I was trying to learn how to edit, when I was trying to learn how to do investing, like any of those things where it's just straight up getting taught straight facts, yeah, it doesn't go in as well. Whereas if I'm watching people like interviews, like typology interviews or things like that, it's easy to consume.
okay.
I don't know if that makes any sense.
I'm trying to understand what
Mm,
you're trying to say. It's a little bit weird what you're trying to say in a sense that like it's easier for you to consume in a play than
yeah.
consume. It's kind of interesting. It's a weird thing. I'm trying to,
No, it's not a military style facts. There's like humor. It's energy dom essentially. Like
okay.
there's you're pinging back and forth, and you can kind of like I can kind of like daydream and come back, and I haven't missed anything. You know what I mean? Whereas if it's like this facts, I'm like, I don't know. It uses my willpower too quickly, and I'm just like, that's enough for today. You know?
Okay.
Whereas, for example,
I'm starting to understand now. So,
okay,
I'm trying to understand this at a deeper level layer. Like I'm trying to understand you, and
right.
from what you're trying to say is that yes, you can consume facts, but there is a limit. There's like a battery, and it's not very
Yeah,
high. And once you've gotten the facts, you jump out because it's boring, essentially.
yeah, because although like basically it's what you were saying. I understand what you were saying now. Is the consume is TI and the SE, which is like the lower two, if that
Yeah,
makes sense.
right.
And my NI wants the overview, if that makes sense. So I want the framework, like the overarching type of thing. So then if I have that, then I don't mind filling in the blanks with the ST consume.
Right.
But when I'm ST consuming, they're doing like 1, 2, 3, 4, but then there's like 1,000, and I'm just like, do I have to like sit here and listen to you go from 1 to 10,000? You know what I mean?
Well, your consume is SE, right? So you're essentially consuming the highlights, the factual highlights, not like the SI detail, So
Right.
so because you do have that ST consume, I'm guessing that yes, you are gonna be building a framework essentially that you're describing, but you wouldn't shy away from validating it with ST facts. Is that correct? Like you'll just get the highlights, like the important ones, the pillars, not like the entire 1,000 pages or whatever, but like the highlights, the meat.
Um, it depends, because like I kind of don't want to come back and do it again. So it's rare, but I will do it. I will do that sometimes. I will, for example, like I was talking about Andrew Huberman. He's a he's an info dom, and he's like, you got 3 hours, 4 hours, 2 hours, and I'm just like, that's too intense. I can't like sit down and just listen to him for 3 hours. But if it was like an interview, each interview that you do, Binaman does, and other people do, it's just as long, like an hour, and I'll jump from one, finish it, then another, finish it, then another. So it's like, I don't know. This is the certain difference between the consumes.
I think for you, you're also energy dominant, so you're not gonna be as deep diving as an info dominant person when it comes to information. I think your energy is still what you respect above the info. So let's talk about being energy
Yeah.
dominant since we're in a topic. So energy dominant people, first of all, you will have you will have sleep and play in your first three animals. And for you, you're gonna be preserving your energy first. You have sleep first before you expend at the end of the day. You know, if you have a lot of energy left at the end of the day, then okay, you'll expend it. You go like hang out with friends or socialize or have a night out or something. But yeah, but preserving first is what matters to you. So talk about that. Like, how do you experience that?
Being an energy zone, it turned on at some point in my life, like 14, 15. I don't know. Like I went from like just go, go, go. And I was doing so much sports and until like my calves started to hurt, you know what I mean? I was like expending too much energy. But then it got to the point where I just wanted to sit down. I just wanted to relax. Or there was things where I would do like strength things. And if there was something heavy, if I couldn't, this like illogical limit on it, where it's like if I can't move it like in 1 second, I'm like, I'm done. You know what I mean? Or if I was like play fighting with my friends, if I can't take him down in 1 second, I'm just gonna like, it's fine. I'm just gonna go back and relax. I don't know. So like I saw that in my life where I became hyper conscious on my energy, if that makes sense. Where basically I'm just doing nothing because I feel too tired or I know that it will tire me out, if that makes sense.
Do you work out?
I used to, but I stopped, and now I'm gonna start again.
Did you notice when you work out that you had more energy? Like your energy reservoir was bigger?
Yeah, way bigger, astronomically bigger.
Right, because I did notice that with a lot of people that are energy dominant and sleep above play, is that the moment they exercise, they seem to have like massive reservoir of energy, and they actually come across as play above sleep.
Yeah.
So
100%.
yeah, so it's an interesting thing, like where like exercise can actually make a big difference in.
Yeah, you're exercising the input and output, if that makes sense. Especially like if you're eating well and you're healthy and you're sleeping well, there's no reason to expend it. And then you would also have that confidence of no matter how much I expend, I will still have energy left,
Right.
Because I feel like even for an energy dom, wasting energy is bad, but at the same time, not using energy is bad, because like if I go to sleep and I still have 50% like of my output capacity left, it's like that's just as bad,
So wasted energy because it's gonna get recharged the next day, right? So
well, yeah, but either way you're wasting energy, so you much rather time it so that just before you go to sleep you're at zero, so you just knock out. You don't wanna stay up, and mess up the sleeping pattern.
So before bed, that's when you crank out like the deadlifts, the squats, the high intensity training.
Nah, to be fair, exercise wakes me up, so I try not to do that.
Right. Okay.
Like the adrenaline starts rushing in, you're awake.
Fair enough. Okay. All right. Let's talk about. So it's being an energy dominant is a weird way to look at life. Like just hearing you talk about it, I'm like, this is so weird. I never do any of that stuff we're talking about.
Yeah.
So,
I don't like that.
Like for
it's
me,
kind of why.
Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, it's kind of why I thought it was FI as well, because I didn't relate with the stereotypical, the thinker just goes. I did like when I was younger, but like for about 7 years now, I've just been being a slug that's like slowly moving through our life, just trying to, you know what I mean? So I was like that, and the other reason why I thought it was FI was I remember being having talking about it with people who would constantly ask them, what's your definition of truth? And I never agreed with the TI definition of truth. I don't know. So that's the other reason.
Yeah, I know TI is kind of weird because some TI values sounds like FI values. So it's like, what? So it's, but I guess the thing with TI though is it's unique to every TI person. So it's, you can't just say, okay, this is I mean, there might
It's
be a
interesting.
universal, yeah, yeah, yeah. TI is definitely a weird case. You know, it's not as easy to
Yeah.
define as FI. I would be curious to see. Okay, let's go back to TI real quick. So, you know, when you talk about something that's an introverted function, we talk about deep diving onto something. You know, there is like
Mhm.
you're drilling a well essentially. You know, a well. So for TI, it's for FI, it's behavioral and emotional. You know, trying to break down what's going on emotionally in someone. You know, and
Mhm.
not skipping any steps, not looking for highlights. It's a deep dive into feelings and emotion and values. So TI, I'm guessing it's more involved with things like if you're building like a TV or something. Like I have INTP friends that loves to repair like electronics. You know, they like to see like the mechanics inside it. You know how what makes things turn and this does this and this does this. But that's more physical. So his TI is connected to SI, so that's why it's physical, right? But for you,
Mhm.
it's connected to your NI, so it's gonna be like an abstract framework of how things work. So
Mhm.
how do you have an example, a concrete example of a framework that you've created yourself where it's like a deep
Oh,
dive, you know?
I created brand new or
It doesn't have to be brand new, but it's something that you've kind of been working on personally. Because it's
oh,
personal.
okay.
A personal framework that you've been working on. It doesn't have to be a new concept, but it's something that
Okay,
you're
okay.
working on.
Okay. I remember, okay, so about 2 years ago, I came back from university, like when COVID started around that time. And and like I made a plan, which was like I I was like I wanted to have a better understanding of the world and myself. So I broke myself down into four parts: the soul, the mind, the body, and the heart. And the first part was like the soul, so it's like spirituality, religion, existential crises, and stuff like that. And I took a deep dive in, just researched from top to bottom, like, you know, does God exist, to the word religion, and you know what I mean. So I did that part, and then that led to the next part, which was the mind, and I was studying psychology, which then eventually led to OP, which eventually led to me talking to you. You know what I mean? And then now I'm starting the third part, which is the body, or you can call it the physical world, but like in two ways: the physical world, as in, or another way that people say is the secular world, I guess. You know what I mean? So having a job, or like you know, working out, things like that. So things that you do in the real world. And then the fourth one is the heart, which is like, you know, getting married or something, or like having kids, or, you know what I mean, like just finding a companion in life. So that was the plan I had, overarching plan. And you were saying with the TI, I had to deep dive. I'm deep diving in each one at a time, if that makes sense.
Right.
So I guess I don't know. Was that a good one? Was that? I guess it's ST because I'm actually doing it. So I don't know.
No, it's it's very intuitive for sure.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering what is the purpose of that framework that you're building? Like what is the purpose of it?
The purpose of it is so that I'm not surprised at anything. You know what I mean? So like, I don't know. Maybe I'm not like 40 years old, and then someone goes, "Have you discovered this religion? Are you sure this?" You know what I mean? Like, so I don't have any questions that are unanswered. If that makes sense. Or someone says, like, you know, like let's say I choose a career, which is the part I'm on right now. If I choose the wrong career, but then in 10 years time I'm like, oh, I'm stuck in the wrong job, you know what I mean?
Okay.
Things like that. So I'm never stuck somewhere, and I don't look around and think, ah, shit, there's something better I could be doing. I've already gathered all the things, and I've already slept on it, and I already know, you know what I mean?
And why is it important for you to not be surprised by the time you're 40? Like all this stuff. Like what is it, the fear of chaos then? That
Kind of, but it's also understanding how difficult it is to do things. I don't know. like 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 if I'm 40 years old, and let's say I'm married, I've got kids, the last thing I want to do is sleep process something for a year. You know what I mean? I don't want to go to a mountain. You know what I mean? Like I can't detach from the world at that point. That's what I'm trying to say. Whereas right now I'm 21 years old. I don't really have to work. I live with my mom. You know what I mean? Like I'm still a kid. I got too much free time. Whereas in the future, I would have less time. So I'm just trying to be efficient with it.
Right. Well,
Does that answer it?
you're definitely end dominant for you to plan for your 40 when you're only 21. Like, you know, a lot of people would be saying, okay, you're 21, you should be freaking like partying and like and whatnot.
Well, I have done that though. That's the thing. I've already done that, and
Yeah, but you're only 21. You're not done yet.
yeah, I'm 21. Yeah, but I did it when I shouldn't have done it. You know, I had the fake ID and stuff, so
Yeah,
I did it too early. You know.
I see.
So.
Okay, that's funny. um, let's talk about chaos, fear of chaos. You're an IJ. Natural fear is chaos. You know, something is gonna sweep you. Usually, some kind of physical thing, and ruin your framework. So, talk about that fear of chaos.
There's a lot of different ways, but one of them is like I've seen it happen a lot. It's like if I'm in a part of a large group, it doesn't always happen. I have to be in a state of mind, then it happens, you know. Like if everything's going well and I feel confident, then you know, I mean, then chaos doesn't scare me. But there's times where it does scare me, and it's that is if there's too many people around, you know, there's there's chances of someone doing something crazy increases, right?
Yeah, but you're a double decider, so people are easy for you, you know.
No, not really, because they're easy. As in, yes, it can be easy, but there's swings. You know, I'm not gonna always be on point. You know, I'm not always gonna be ready for that. You know what I'm trying to say? It's just like there's this sense of like let's say when I go to play football with my friends, and a lot of other people that I don't know come, for example, I'm just like, this is just like low level anxiety of the possibilities. Whereas if it's everyone that I know, I've already and I processed them, you know. So it's like there's nothing they can do that can surprise me, type of thing. So that's one thing. The other thing is like when I used to go to school, for example, I would always go to the shop and buy chewing gum. But the days that I didn't buy a chewing gum, the whole day was just ruined. I just hated it, because now I'm just self-conscious of like my breath, and also I used to use it like I guess energy dome. Like I used to use it for like some energy, some like tiny bit of calorie and a tiny bit of like sweetness to like, I don't know, give me just slight energy maybe. Right. But like things like that.
So I want to talk about the thing that you just said about like eating the gum and being self-conscious about your breath. So that's very FE, you know, like presenting your, and also SF play essentially. So presenting yourself appropriately to the tribe. So talk about, you know, presenting yourself appropriately to the tribe so that, you know, when the tribe sees you, it's like a good experience, not a, you know, a feel bad experience.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, so that's demon, but like, you know, that's kind of low, but say, like, yeah, I don't know what to say.
Yeah, but your F is second though. It's second in your function stack. So your potential for growth for FE is actually even higher than your TI, you know, like the capacity, because it's second.
Yeah, like, but yeah, I am aware of that, but there's awareness, but then at the same time there's no awareness of it. It's weird, because like this awareness is like, you know, I want to SF be cool, right? but same time it's like I can never really know what that means, you know, because like for example, everyone could see me SF cool and I'll be like, nah, I'm not quite there yet, you know. Like, yeah. So like I feel like I remember I had a friend, talk to him. Although I'm a double decider, I used to always talk about FE things with him, and I would talk to him about things, and he would just be like, I don't know what you're talking about. Everything's cool, you know. And then also it's about being self-conscious in the moment, but then in the future, like for example, there's times where I was like, I don't know, I was just like insecure about things, but then time later, I was like, I'll see pictures of me in the past. I'm like, whoa, who's that guy? He looks really cool. You know, like in the moment, I don't see it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, well, you don't live in the moment, so of course you don't see it. You're
Exactly.
and dominant.
Yeah.
So it's also interesting how you don't see it unless it's in the moment, because it's also an extroverted function. So extrovert function typically is in the moment. You know, like TE is in the moment. For you, it's FE. So that's that's when you're outside of that in the moment thing. That's not what you're thinking anymore. It's like gone, right? So
Yeah, you
yeah.
can have a more objective look of it, at least for me.
Let's cover your last function, our last animal, NF blast. Okay, so you're not doing the blast essentially, and the blast is NF. It's like the hippie stuff is what they describe it as. But I feel like NF, it's more like purpose and meaning and what is the point. So when you're guiding someone or you're teaching someone, you're trying to guide them to the meaning of life or the point of life, or you know, emotionally, because it's FE, right? So how do you have you had glimpse of that when you did that to a friend, where like you had a friend that was stuck in a rut and they just needed someone to, like, you know, tell them or teach them the overarching, you know,
Yeah.
framework of life?
Like did yeah. I feel like that's kind of hard. Like you can't really change someone's mind, you know. Like it works how it works. But I feel like I don't know about a friend, but
Are
from
you
my
are you just projecting yourself when you said that? You can't just
yes,
change someone's mind. Sounds like
I
a
was
projection.
projected, and I was gonna deep dive now. And I was gonna say was whenever I got stuck in a rut,
Yeah.
I was gonna come back to myself. But basically, whenever I would get in a stuck in a place, what I found was really helpful was like for example, when I was in university, there's times where I would, for like, I don't know, for 2 weeks, I'll just be doing my own thing, and I would just get stuck in a rut, if that makes sense. And then I would just go out with my friends and see them, and then I would just wake up, you know, and I'd be like, oh shit, what the heck, you know. And I would be like, and then that would jumpstart me again, if that makes sense. I don't know if that helps. But then the other way that I see my NF blast is when I feel like people don't understand what the heck I'm saying most of the time when I'm trying to explain myself. Cause like it's abstract, it's weird. I don't know. And they're both feminine as well. It's like double feminine.
Yeah. I don't
Blue and black.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like they don't understand what the heck I'm saying. What I'm saying makes sense, but the words I use and how I say it doesn't make sense. They just don't understand, if that makes sense. Unless they're like they have my same functions. Because I feel like there's my friends. Some of them quickly understand what I'm saying. Some of them are like, I don't know what you're saying, and then I have to change the way that I'm explaining, which is annoying to me because I don't want to do that. Like for example, my mom, she has different functions to me, and having to explain myself really annoys me, you know.
Yeah, well, maybe because your thoughts are personal, so you don't want to explain yourself. But
maybe, yeah.
Also with blast, it means that when you're explaining something to someone, it's not organized. Like, because you know, blast is an organized way of telling something to someone. If you're just using play, it's like a bunch of mess that you're just throwing at someone, right? Which is what you're probably doing. You're throwing like a big mess of stuff to someone.
Yeah.
Like NIFE. Yeah. But, yeah.
I do. I feel like there's different versions of blast. Like if we're talking about getting started or like I see those aspects of blast in me, but then if it's like, you know, like giving orders, like I do that. I do give orders, but it's like when I'm playing football, for example, if it's like 5-a-side or 7-a-side, I'm the guy who's giving orders all the, at least from my team. Well, it depends on who else is there. If I feel like someone else has a better capabilities of it, then I'll just delegate it to them. But I do see the IJ. I'll be honest with you. That's when my IJ control comes out, like a lot, you know. And and I'm just like, shut the fuck up, shut the fuck up. You're controlling too much. You give it too much orders, but no one really gets annoyed. And if I see them getting annoyed, I double decide. You know, I just run to my double decide and I start sharing myself.
Yeah.
Like for example, I'll give an order to do something. And then I'll be like, oh, I'm only doing that because I'm talking to myself type of thing. I say I like I'm projecting or some shit like that.
I don't feel like you're doing NF blast though. I think you're giving directions in NF blast is not the same thing. Like there's a guy, I don't know if you've heard of him. His name is Frank Kern. He's an internet marketer. And he has the best example of, you know, INFJ NF blast.
Where is it? Tell me.
Okay, so I mean, the way he talks about how you can get someone to buy something from you. So so he walks you through the psychology to convince someone to buy something from you. So he said, I like the way he frames it though. I think the way he does it is the most honest way, because like you can use FE to manipulate someone, but you can use it in a good way too. So I feel like the way he does it it's in a good way. So he calls it the milestone. He calls it milestones. So he'll say, this is where the person starts, and this is the end. The end is where they purchase your product. Okay. So this is like the buying, what do you call it? Like the user buyer experience, essentially. So he said that to get them from point A to point B, to get them to buy your stuff, you also have to take them from a journey from point A to point B. And in the journey, what you're doing is you're helping them solve a problem. So this is the solution. This is the end result that they want for their life. You know, it could be like in fitness, it's like, oh, have a six-pack, let's say, you know, or if you're like a single guy, you know, have a girlfriend, you know, whatever your end goal is. So he said that what you should do is you should give them solutions that walks them towards the end goal. But you don't give them all of it. You just give them like a small step. So video 1. So let's say you send one email, solution 1. And then people were like, wow, cool. I want to learn more. And they're like, okay, video 2. Here's the video. It's like, oh, cool. Like, do you want to buy? Oh, not yet. Okay, well, I'll give you solution 3. And then, but by then you'll be like close to the solution, but not quite to the solution yet, right? And then they'll be like, I'm going crazy. Okay, I'll buy your stuff so I can get the last bit. You know, like
that's very true. Yeah.
And then that's how he explains like the behavior, like the NF, you know, like the human psyche, essentially how he could. But he said that, well, I'm selling people stuff, and my method of selling to people is by helping them. I give them solutions to solve their problem, and that's how I'm gonna get them to buy my stuff. I'm like, I like that. That's so it's not manipulative. It's like it makes perfect sense actually. It's like it's nice too actually. You're like, yeah, you're giving them solutions, right? So, you know.
Yeah, I do see that. I don't really resonate with that. I would personally just be like, go figure out yourself.
Yeah, but he's tribe above self though. You're self above tribe. So
exactly. No. I'm saying that's what I'm saying. I understand what you're saying. It makes sense. That's what to be fair, I do that sometimes, but it's rare. I do it probably like,
well, you're blast Ahmed.
Yeah. So like, yeah. But then, but what if I were to blast though? If I were to NF like you're saying, I would my blast would be more like holier than thou type of shit. I wouldn't use it to sell. I'd be like, here, take it, you know. And I would because I'm swinging, you know, I'm swinging from being double activated DI me to okay, you know what I'm trying to say. So it's like I don't know. Like I would never use it for that way, if that makes sense. But if I was DE and I was helping so much, then I'll be like, let me monetize this or whatever. Well, which makes sense.
Well, no, of course not. But you're consuming something different from me. So because it's you have SE, so you're looking for something specific. I'm talking about the general here. Like
I understand. No. I'm saying I fully understand what you're saying, but I was explaining my way. If I were to NF blast, given the information you just gave, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, no, that's not what I was saying at all. You're like, say we're talking past each other. Like
Yeah,
you're
I
gathering
do
the
see
SE.
that.
Yeah,
But it's because and I answering the part that
yeah,
you
but that's
wanted
not
to
even what I
answer.
was saying. So that's like I'm using my NE now. So like, dude,
Yeah, I understand. Yeah.
yeah, because I wasn't even talking about marketing and selling. That wasn't what I was talking about. You know, and then you're thinking about how you're gonna solve someone's problem. You know, in a marketing way or in a selling way. But that's not what I was talking about.
Yeah, I get what you mean. Okay, I see you. But it's because the analogy, everything you gave was marketing, so I used that, if that makes
Sure.
sense.
Okay. Sure. Fair enough. Let's
Yeah.
go over your extrovert sensing since we're in this topic already.
Yeah.
So it's gathering facts. But the weird thing with SE versus NE is with SE, when someone gives you something, a specific example, it has to be worded very specifically. Otherwise, it cannot just be general. So talk about like when someone tells you something, it has to be very specific. Otherwise, it's like, it's like it's a confusion then.
Yeah, yeah. Like I feel like um I do hear that in myself. Like if someone is explaining something, I kind of want them to get to the point, you know, and I want them to tell me exactly what they want, because then if I do it wrong or I don't do it the way that they wanted, then it's just waste of time. You know what I mean? I don't want to correct it. I don't want to waste time. You know what I mean? I don't want you to tell me something twice. You know what I'm trying to say? So tell me once and tell me the first time the proper way or whatever, you know? Like for example, if my mom asked me to do something, I kind of want her to be brief, because even though I'm blast, I see her as blast as well, going in circles and never getting to the point, and that's kind of annoying. But but maybe I don't know. Let's not get that. But so I kind of what I want from her is to tell me what she wants one time, to tell it to me clearly what she wants, and then I'll get it done, if that makes sense.
Got it. All right, Ahmed, I have two last questions for you and we'll wrap up the interview. The
Okay.
first one is, you are an observer and observers have problems with fear. All right. And your fear is physical chaos. Like the big example that a lot of INTJs and INFJs would say is like, oh, they have like a grand plan of they're working on. Suddenly, oh shit, you have to do your laundry, or shit, your car breaks down because you haven't bring it in for an oil change. My sister, I think, would be an INFJ. She didn't get her car in for any repairs for 2 years, and basically the mechanic said, I'm surprised you're still alive. Like the wheel should have fallen off already in the middle of your
Oh
driving.
wow.
So like that's the kind of stuff like that NI people neglect, is like the physical maintenance that you need to do in the day-to-day life that gets neglected because you have this grand plan in your head, like 20 years from now. So talk about SE chaos and the fear of that, like chaos, of doing the mundane day-to-day stuff.
I feel like, yeah, like you said fear, and I have a lot of different types of fear, obviously.
Sure. Yeah, let's talk about your fear.
Yeah, one of them is the fear of failure. That's paralyzing, especially as last. And then I don't necessarily fear I don't fear doing the monotonous things. It's just I hate it. It's more of hate than fear, if that makes sense.
Hate.
So,
Okay.
for example, my room's a mess. Cleaning it, I don't fear cleaning it. Why would I fear that? It's more so I just don't want to. I hate it, And I kind of see where the fear will come from. But that's more so to do with my body, Like if I'm unhealthy, I fear what that could lead to, having a heart attack, a stroke, or being, I don't know, not appealing anymore, if that makes sense, like beauty wise. I fear those things, and what I fear more is the fact that I know I should maintain things and I should do the day-to-day things, but I still don't do it, and I fear that illogical, like how it's so illogical, Like for example, I should clean my room, but I'm not going to. Like what kind of, that's so stupid, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but the main fears for me are the fear of failure, the fear of I guess like in a sense, being a loser, you know, or not aspiring to the goal that I set, like, you know, coming short from that. The fear of like, for example, doing this interview, I kind of I didn't want to do it, and so on and so forth, because of my feminine, and I like it's I find it constricting, you know. Like, for example, I might say something wrong, or I might say something, you know what I'm trying to say, or like, I don't know, like my brain would think to myself, what if I'm like the prime minister of the United Kingdom? I don't want a video out there of me, you know what I'm trying to say? Like things like that. So yeah, so that's what I'm trying to work on right now. I'm trying to work on tackling those fears. So one of them is putting myself out there. That's why I'm doing this interview. Right. Although I had thousands of reasons not to, I'm like, shut the fuck up, you know, you're not real. Like, those things are not real. So I'm doing this. I'm gonna try doing this other YouTube thing with someone from the Discord group. I'm trying to basically do things that gets me to blast, if that makes sense, and get myself out there, and not necessarily fear failure as much, because it's really toxic. It's like, by fearing failure, you're failing, you know. Like, I remember you know, when I used to do exams, I much rather aim for 60% and get 60% rather than aim for 100% and get 90%, you know. Like, I don't know, like, I much rather have that excuse of I didn't try, rather than have tried and failed, which is backwards, you know.
Yeah, I find that weird with the TI people. It's like, being wrong is such like a big no. Like, no, cannot, unacceptable to be wrong, you know, to fail or to be wrong, you know. Like, it's, you know, it's weird.
It is to fail more than to be wrong. I don't mind being wrong. All my guesses are wrong, you know, but then some of them are wrong.
I'm kind of putting them together, but sure, okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, let's go with failure then, instead of being wrong. You know, because I mean, being wrong and failure could be the same thing, because you can be like, okay, you set out to get 70%, but you got 60%. Oh, your guess was wrong, you know, like, so. But anyway, so like, but anyway,
yeah,
so,
but the wrong, being the wrongness, I wouldn't care as much. It's the fact that I failed, you know. I failed my objective.
Because you're not as competent as you thought you were. Is that what? Because that's what it means if you failed. It'll hurt you. It'll hurt your ego.
Kind of. I don't know. I don't really know. Like, I never actually, because like, thinking about it, it brings the anxiety, you know. So it's like, yeah, get out of here, you know. I never really got to the bottom of why do I fear failure so much?
Yeah,
you know?
maybe we should get to the bottom of that. That's something. That's probably your next stage, next step. You know, like, you know, figuring that out, because that's essentially, you know, you want to get to the root cause of the problem, right? And
I think it's just built in, because I was in the Discord yesterday, and another INFJ pretty much said the same thing, and I was like, oh, you know, they pretty much said the same thing about like the fear of putting yourself out there, the fear of failure.
Yeah,
do you know Eminem, that song in the movie 8 Mile, the song
lose yourself.
Yeah, that's it. Lose yourself. And then someone made that remark. He was like, so you're basically saying that Eminem, that basically he made the connection. I was just laughing at like, because he's also an INFJ.
Yeah, double masculine, same as type as you, except for double masculine.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, hey, look at Eminem. He failed so many times, right? And look where he is now. So, you know.
Yeah, but I don't want to fail though. That's the thing.
Well, then you won't get to your goal. Then that's the only way to reach the goal.
I know. I'm trying to have a more comprehensive approach now. You know, I've been I messaged OTM and stuff. I was like, because like I said, my consume can be like intense. I don't want to like, and I don't like, you know, I don't want to spend another 8 months trying to process myself, my type. Like, you know, Eminem, Snoop Dogg, Jerry Seinfeld. I don't want to do that, you know. I want to quicken it. I want to speed it up, you know. And I messaged him. I was like, for like the last 2 years, what have you discovered? And basically trying to jumpstart and quicken it, if that makes sense. Because my NI wants to go to the next stage of my other plan that I have, the 4-parter. I want to go to the 3rd part, if that makes sense.
I see. Okay. You're lazy. Okay, so you'd rather get
Well, laziness is the mother of like invention, so
All right.
not too bad.
Okay. Okay, before we wrap this up, do you have any last minute questions for me? Otherwise, we'll wrap up the interview.
Actually, I've watched the interviews with my twin types, and I kind of wanted them to ask a different one, so then I could ask what I want to ask, like if that made sense. But they all asked the same thing. They all asked about your SI, so I was like,
My SI is what?
no, I think Ultimate asked your TE actually, but like how's SI for you? Like any SI?
Any SI?
Yeah. Oh no, Ultimate asked FI actually. Yeah. Okay. Sorry.
Any SI? Okay. Well, any SI is so. SI is trusting that the steps, the concrete steps, will lead you to the promised land, to the goal, to reach your goal, right? You know, so it's I don't make a guess on what the steps are. I mean, I kind of am, but they're concrete, you know. For example, if I want to pay off a debt and let's say $10,000, then I know that to get there I need to, you know, just follow Dave Ramsey's total money makeover system. You know, step one, you know, have $1,000 worth of emergency savings. Step two, pay your debt starting from the smallest to the biggest. Don't even worry about the interest, because the interest, I mean, let's say this credit card has a higher interest and I'm incurring a higher interest from it than this other debt that I have. It doesn't matter, because he said that debt snowball is the best method. So that's like one example. But for a more concrete example is like, let's say I'm trying to book a flight because I'm big into traveling. And let's say I want, like, so I took a year off to go backpacking, right? And I traveled to 89 countries. So when I did that, I actually planned meticulously like how I was gonna physically do it. Like it's nothing is like no guesswork. It's just like physical.
Is it expensive doing that?
I only paid about $5,000 to fly to 89 countries, to go to 89 countries. I mean, 80, no, it's not 89, sorry. When I took a year off, it was 72 countries I went to.
Okay.
I went to 75, but I didn't fly to all of them. Some of them I took a bus to go to the next country.
Right. Okay.
But like on average, it was really cheap. Like my flights were like $50 or $100 per flight. So it was something really good.
I want to do that, but that seems scary to me. I don't want to do that. I want to do it, but at the same time, I don't want to do it. It's weird.
Yeah, so logically you don't want to do it, but emotionally you want to do it. It's like,
yeah, I want to do it. Like I know I'll enjoy it, and I know it'd be a really good experience, but then having to deal with the details, where it's going to be, unless I'm with someone else who's like planning it all and doing like a ISTJ or something. If I was with them, I would enjoy it. So then I can just, you know what I mean, like experience it better. But I can't do both. I can't plan and then also be a kid and be you know, like hyperactive and be Jesus Christ, experiential.
Right. Well, I think if an ISTJ did it, it would be different. So an ISTJ, the way they would do it is they would plan every single step, like the destination that you would go, the itinerary of what you would do the day that you are per day. That let's say you have a 7-day vacation. So the SI, the way it would do it is like, let's say Monday, okay, breakfast, we're gonna eat at this restaurant. In the afternoon, we're gonna check out this museum. For dinner, we'll check out this this bar. Okay. Next day, we'll check out. Let's say you're in Paris. In the morning, we'll check out the Eiffel Tower. You know, in the afternoon, we'll check out the Louvre. You know, in the evening, we'll eat at a nice French restaurant. You know, and the French restaurants. Then there's even a specific name to each of those specific locations, right? So there's nothing left to imagination. So that's like the ISTJ way. I'm an ENFP, so for me, I went for the big picture first. So I said, okay, what do I want to achieve in that 1 year? And for me, it was like, okay, I want to visit Africa, Europe, Asia, Oceania, and South America. I need to go to all 5 continents. And within those 5 continents, I want to visit, you know, specific wonders of the world. So I saw all the 7 wonders, right? Also, one of my plan was to try out different lifestyles. So I said, I want to try to be a digital nomad. I don't know if you know what that is, but it's okay. Well, digital nomad is pretty much
I can guess, but
like you don't have a home, but you're working for your computer. Like you have an online business or freelancing work.
yeah,
Yeah, so you're leveraging
like
like a cheap,
remote.
yeah, but you're leveraging a cheap country like Thailand. The cost of living is really low, but
Yeah,
but the quality of life is really high also. You know, so you can get you can rent like an apartment for yourself for like $300 a month. The whole place is yours. You know, everything like $300 a month. You know.
yeah. I've actually I've heard of that, but I didn't know it was called digital nomad.
Yeah,
Maybe I did and I forgot, but
yeah, that's the word for it. But anyway, so I wanted to try being a digital nomad. I wanted to volunteer abroad. I wanted to see the seven wonders of the world. I wanted to visit friends from different countries. So I had like certain landmarks that I wanted to hit, but I also wanted to experience personal growth and to grow my character, like being able to go to a tough situation and get out of it. Um, so I had all this plan, and I wanted to make a music video at the end of it too. So I have a music video of it in my travel YouTube channel. So I also pictured how yeah, as I also pictured how I wanted the music video to look like. So with all this like parts together, I now had an SI way to like get to them, and I had like a grand plan with every single step meticulously planned to achieve it. But there's room for flexibility. I'm still an EP, right? So I'm like, okay, if this doesn't work, then I can go here or here. It's okay, So I have a plan A, plan B, plan C, plan D, So it's that's how SI works. It's like every single step is a concrete step.
right.
It's not.
By the way,
yeah.
do you know? Do I come across similar to Chris and Otim and Garrett, or
Nope.
I don't?
Nope.
Okay. Well, if you were to guess, would you say
all four of you are very different.
Oh, okay.
As a matter of fact, I don't think Gareth is even blast last. I think Garrett is play last. I think he was I think he was mistyped for those 2 coins. But Chris, you and Otim, I think you guys have the same animals stack, but you guys are all very different. I think your life experience skewed that because your personality is only 50% genetics, right? The other half is environment. So
yeah, I remember them saying I remember Benjamin saying that each one had a one thing strongest. So like Chris had a good SE, Garrett had a good TI, and Otim had a good FE, and that made differences or something.
Garrett was more info dominant. Otim is very high SF, extremely high SF, like he extremely high play. His consume is also stronger than yours, from my opinion. You're from all 4 of them. I think you would be the biggest self-above tribe. Like you are the most, into yourself. No offense. You're the most DI of them 4. I think in terms of being DI, it would be you, Chris, Otim, and then Gareth. Even though Garrett is play last, weirdly enough, even though Garrett's play last, it's weird.
Right.
Or Otim could be the most D, also, because Otim's SF is very strong, but he really likes using his SF. So there is a preference on which animal you like to use. So the preference, yeah, because like you could be any type, but if you prefer to use a certain animal, like you're lucky if you're the type that likes to use your 4th animal. Because then that's like pure growth mindset, right? Like you're gonna be unstoppable. Yeah. But there's a preference. I can definitely see the preference of function and preference of animal and function usage. So from you, I can tell that you love using. You like to ping off people, but you're also extremely DI. So the pinging off. So it's I think Otim doesn't like to ping off as much, but he likes to use the SF side of things. So he using that. And then for the NT part, it's not about him. It's more like the figuring out part that he likes. For you, it's more like it's about me, the DI part of it. So it's like, it's just
I understand.
Yeah. So it's like, okay, it's interesting how all 4 of you are the same type essentially, but very different also. But I see what you're doing that Otim's also doing. Like I'll tell Otim something, and it's like, yeah, I get it. I'm like, no, you don't get it. I was telling you something else. Yeah.
No, but it was like I feel like I know that that's really bad because I remember in class I would I'll just be like, I get it. But because I didn't spend enough time with it, I would just quickly forget about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Whereas if I played dumb and I asked questions, it would masculine sensory get stuck in me, if that makes sense. Whereas if like I quickly learn, I'm like, I get it and just move on. It's like I haven't spent time with it, you know, and then you just forget about it.
Yeah. I mean, you're not info dominant. So it's gonna be your energy still will be the king, right? So yeah. All right, Ahmed. First of all, thanks a lot for reaching out to do this interview. I know that you said that you had like an internal dilemma whether you wanted to do it or not, and I didn't even ask you. You're the one who reached out to me, so that's super. That's kudos to you for being blast last and that you reached out. That's a very good thing.
It was like spur in the moment. Like it's kind of like when you make a decision and you don't fully back that decision, but you make it, and then you want to backtrack, but then you're like, actually, no, don't backtrack this time. Just do it.
Good. Yeah, good. Glad you did that. All right, dude. Enjoy the rest of your evening and peace out.
All right, see you later, man.